Vote 2. Vote 2. Vote 2. Those of you who are watching this may or may not have been around. About 2/3 of you were not around the last time we had a vote. So it's a pretty big deal. So I wanted to share a little bit about what it is, why it's so exciting, and the actual impacts that the vote really has on Oort and the direction it goes. So to start off with a little bit, I want to show some numbers here. I don't know if you guys caught this. They talked a lot about Steam. It was kind of confusing when they came out with the whole new Steam sales and the collectors and all that. I had to reread it 2 or 3 times before I could finally wrap my head around it without freaking out and just going, what the hell? But I don't know if you caught this, but there is still a value to upgrading to Wayfarer at this point. They changed it so that they now get mega beacons at 25% range increase. So if you're kind of serious about the game, that's a pretty sweet deal. That could have a pretty significant impact when we come to doing things like economy, control of space, and structures, frankly. You can build more, because they haven't said maybe there's a fixed number of beacons. Who knows? Maybe they take very, very scarce resources to make. There's a lot of reasons why that additional overall percentage boost could come in handy down the road for you in the game. So you might want to give that a thought. We are down to 339 as the time of me making this video, and Pioneer's still a really great deal. If you've got a friend and you can go in together, each of you gets all the full perks, plus you get some additional launch keys. It's pretty sweet as well, and 50% mega beacon range. So you may want to take a look at that. Going on to the vote itself, the vote's a really big deal in Oort. They talk about it. Some people are on Twitter, like myself, every day, talking all the time. And if you watch my guide video, that's the place to be if you want to have the most influence. But the thing is that not everyone does that. Not everyone wants to be that involved and is that crazy about the game, but they'd still like to have their voice heard. And the vote is how we do that and how we get feedback and see kind of a more aggregated opinion of what the priorities should be in the near term for developing and building the game to try and obviously grow sales, because that's what it's all about. We got to get more money to build more of the pieces of the game to finish it. So we go down here, we're down to like the last $2,900. We're already over this mark because this doesn't actually show the Steam sales. They're actually working on getting that integrated so we can see those together and know exactly where we're at in the scope of the project. And they're actively working on that now. But either way, the vote is definitely coming. James already said it as of Sunday. It's come down the pipe. So we're about to have vote 2 one way or another. So those of you who weren't around, what does vote look like? Well, once James sends it out, he'll send out this gigantic email to all the email addresses of the backers. The last time we did it, I think we had about like 600 people or so when the vote was initiated. Now we're up to like 1,500 plus the unknown number of Steam sales. So there's going to be a lot more people voting this time. So we get to feel out and see now that the community has almost tripled in size, possibly bigger. We're going to see what everyone thinks and kind of what their priorities are, what their opinions are, and where they want the game to go in the near term. So, you'll get this email. You click on the link. It's going to take you to here. This is vote 1. This is exactly what it looked like because I saved the email because I'm a hoarder. And if you scroll down in here, here's the feature roadmap choice. We got 4 things to choose from in the vote. Crafting 1, farming, beacons, portals, and warps. Don't be surprised if 3 of these don't reappear on the next vote. At the time, we knew some of what the features were going to be beforehand, and then we debated them on the forums preceding the vote, which was really fun discussion, talking with people about what we should do and why we should do one versus the other and what the merits of it and what the reasoning was. I thought that was fantastic, and we had a really great time doing that. So I look forward to doing that with vote 2. Down here, this is where things get really important and why the vote is very important to fill out. This is your priority about all the different features in the game and what you're interested in. This information right here, as much as this right here, determines what the devs will actually actively be working on. Yes, they will work on the major feature roadmap, but they're also simultaneously working on some of these other features as well. And they want to know what people are excited about and what they want to do in game. And so filling this out and marking this based on what you really want is going to have a very direct impact on the direction of progress. So don't think it's all just about the first question and that's it. Because I can tell you that the temple exploration one, as a result of the results of this, determined that and shifted temples to the top of the priority list because it ranks so highly on the feedback survey. And I'll get to the results in a little bit. But anyways, they show, they ask you additional questions about what features you want. They actually read this, so take the time to write in here. James and Ben will read each one of these bad boys and see what you're interested in. Do you have any feedback about the game? Write it in here. They will seriously read this. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen things that have come from the community that have materialized in-game. You know, I don't realize, but grappling hooks were never on the roadmap to begin with. That's something somebody suggested that got implemented. VR materialized as a result of the feedback from this. So answering these and writing these things in, this isn't just like some machine reading these. They really actually take the time to read the results of all of these surveys from all of us, and so that's a really cool deal, especially since we're still somewhat a relatively small group. They have the ability and the manpower and the time to read these things, so it matters. List the platforms you want to play on. I don't know if you know this. Some of you just got here probably. You know, the ultimate goal is to go to virtually every one of these platforms with this game, and it's being built in such a way that it can be. Obviously, we're starting out with the PC environment, and there's another, I think I did either posted or I made another video talking about why. Whatever. Anyways, we have to start with PC, Mac, and Linux first, but ultimately we want to expand to the other markets as well. Let them know what your priorities are, what systems you play, what ones you have, what you want to play on. That's going to influence the direction of where they perhaps make the first plunge into building the client outside of the PC world. So VR support, I can't tell you. So many of us answered this, yes, 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 yes. They did it. They showed the demo. They have code that actively works that supports VR, specifically the Oculus Rift is what they did the demo with. It's in the pipeline because everyone answered. So that's why it's so important to answer these questions and vote on these things. Other devices you want support for, what language you want support for, how old you are, what games you play, how often you play. They want a makeup of what you do, what you play like. They want to know, frankly, everything about your gaming habits so they can kind of start to cater the game to what you're looking for. Who do you want to play the game with? I loved this question because it's something I didn't even really give that much thought to. I answered the question honestly, but it was really fascinating. My children under the age of 13, my children over the age of 13, my parents, my current friends, friends I randomly make online, new friends I meet in a guild or clan, no one. I play solo. And yes, ultimately there will be ways that you can play by yourself if you choose to. How much time have you spent on this type of stuff? Where do you get information? This is really important right here, and especially answering this question below, if you got to us from some other means, this is really important because this helps us with marketing, because ultimately we want to know what sources of information are penetrating and which ones are driving ultimately the most sales, because we need that information to know where to focus the project's time and energy into advertising to help drive additional sales. And so this is really important. I originally saw this game, for example, on PC Gamer. A day after release came out. They had an article. That's how I found it. That's how I got here. That's how they got my money. So that's really important to answer that question there, and which ones you pay attention to. Especially the new people. You're the most valuable on that question. Everybody else has already been on Twitter for so long. We know where the information's getting out and going to, but the new people are so valuable to let us know how you got here, why you heard about this game, and so we know where to focus our time and energy to getting more people so we can build more features for this game, because it really is a team effort on the part of everybody in the community and the devs to make it happen. There's not a a publisher that's just pouring money into this game. It really is a grassroots effort to make this a reality. So what do you want to see the devs make more videos of? They listen to that. What kind of swag you want from them? Take the time to answer that. What other games you play? What you thought about voting? Any other comments? So you take the vote. It's awesome. Then you go back here, and if you look, you can see the results because they posted the results of the survey. Even better, they talked about which milestone won, and I think it was really close between this one and another one, a few percentage points off between picking it. But crafting one obviously won, which is what we're about to complete the funding for, so we can move on to the next item, and they'll start working on building that. You know, what's really interesting is I think this may have set the priorities even more than this vote. You might be surprised, you know, those little block chart, because the information I got from them is they have been working on exploration, dungeons, castles, and temples. They've been working on that very secretly and quietly, laying the foundation in the game and the framework for that. They have some really interesting ideas that they're kicking around about that in designing, and a lot of time has been spent on that, even though that wasn't the thing that, you know, was voted for. Because that was so high, and 91% of everyone said they were most excited about that feature, they knew that was the thing that everybody really wanted. So the results of this, in some ways, are even more valuable than that vote. So make sure you take the time to answer. It was really eye-opening. You know, we figured out real quick that PvP was a polarizing issue. You know, you can see people yell on the forums or discuss things, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything if, you know, the vote doesn't show it. And here we had kind of the raw data on it, so we knew that we needed to design an opt-in system but still allow to curtail to each player's play style and what they ultimately wanted. So the results of this stuff has a pretty big impact on the direction of the game. You know, who you're going to play with, and you can read all this. You can still go back and see here. This is under the news section. It's still available. So that should give you guys some idea of what the vote is like, what it does, how it impacts the direction of development, and frankly, why you should be so excited that it's just about to happen. So if you just got here and you're here for Vote 2, congratulations, and we're glad you're here with us. Thanks.